Hi everyone, Eric here with Proud Counseling to talk about some tips for assertive communication. Now, this can present a challenge. It involves having to put ourselves out there, letting someone else know how we think and feel. There is a level of vulnerability that comes with that. There is also a level of risk in not knowing how that other person is going to respond to what we're sharing with them. And sometimes that can cause people to just kind of hold things in and not speak out. And that can feel like an easier solution in the short term, but in the long run, you aren't going to be getting your needs met. And you're going to be missing out on a chance to practice doing something differently, to challenge yourself, to improve your confidence. That was something that came up with a client of mine recently, this idea that confidence and being assertive, it's not something that you have or you don't have. Yes, for some, it sort of just comes a little bit more naturally. And for others, it's more of a challenge. But it's almost like, think of it like a skill, like a muscle, that the more you practice it, the more you can build it up. And you can always kind of be working toward it. So, tips for how to do this. One, kind of check in with yourself and get yourself emotionally regulated first. Practice some deep breathing. Do some positive self-talk. Pep yourself up. Kind of remind yourself that you are totally capable of expressing yourself and letting someone else hear you. 2, keep it concise. Keep it short. Find ways to make your point. Let it land, and then stop talking. Sometimes people get a little too worked up wanting to kind of say, and I'm going to tell them this and this and this, and I want to go over that thing that happened from 5 years ago, and I want to tackle that one too. Do a little bit of prep, kind of come up with what's your main point that you're trying to get across. Start there, and then if more things come from it, that's okay. That's sort of what relating to someone else is supposed to be. That kind of exchange, that give and take. Make your initial point and go from there. 3, this is a therapy term. We call it speak from the I, as in the letter I. If you're talking about kind of your own perspective and your own experiences, people are a lot more receptive to that versus if you're telling them something that they did. Kind of that, you did this thing, and when you did this, it made me really upset, and when you did that, it made me feel like, anytime you're using you and kind of like an accusation against someone, it tends to build up a wall. So you want to speak from the I. Hey, I was really disappointed when I texted you the other day and you didn't text me back. Bummed me out. Can also be in a positive way too. Maybe like talking to your boss. Hey, I'm really excited at the chance for this promotion. I think I'm great for the job and I want to tell you why. Go for the things that you want. This is a great way to kind of, the more you practice that, the more you'll take those chances to do that. 4, avoid tells. Tells are sort of, we all have different ones and different ways of doing this, but a tell is telling on yourself and letting that other person know that you've got some doubt in that moment and that you're not confident in that moment. Here are some common tells. 1 is apologizing. So saying sorry. We should only be saying sorry if we've done something wrong. And if we haven't, anytime we're including that in there as a disclaimer, no, I'm sorry, I really can't do that thing. It's not necessary, and it's working against the idea of being assertive and being confident. If you've done something wrong that someone's confronting you about, sure, by all means, consider owning that and apologizing for it. But if you haven't, then don't. That can be a tough one for people to modify. Like sometimes people just get sort of used to, by default, always including a sorry as a disclaimer before they ask for something. Hey, I'm really sorry. I can't remember that thing that we talked about. Can you remind me? Just eliminate that and just kind of ask for what you need. Another tell is sort of like any variation of ending a statement with like, if that makes sense, or asking, does that make any sense? That's your own stuff. coming up, that's your own kind of like self-doubt about what you just said, remember, keep it concise, and kind of after you've made your point, just stop talking. We also need to have faith in people that if we have said something that is unclear to them, then they can certainly ask for that clarification. But we don't need to lead with that, right? Because then it's almost like a little bit condescending in a way, or patronizing, where it's like, if that didn't make sense to you, this is your chance to tell me and I'll clarify it. They are allowed to do that on their own. That is, in fact, a way for them to practice being assertive when they need to. But we don't need to check in and kind of add that. It makes us seem less confident in what we're saying, and it kind of just tends to be like something that people default to that's unnecessary. And remember, we want to focus on being direct and concise and no more than that. Another sort of like tell is feeling like you're responsible for giving the alternative if you're not able to do something. So say if somebody's like, hey, can you give me a ride to the store tomorrow? And it's something that you like don't want to do. You don't have to offer the explanation as to why. You don't need to say sorry. It's okay to just say no to things without those. You also don't need to offer the alternative for them. I can't do it, but maybe so-and-so could do it. Actually, let me reach out to them for you. I'll ask, do you want me to? All of those things are sort of just like our own doubts and insecurities that we might be disappointing someone or we might be upsetting someone. Spoiler! This is something to practice doing. Practice getting more don't practice making people mad, but practice getting more comfortable with tolerating someone being upset with you, someone being disappointed in you, with you. It's part of life, right? It's going to happen, and we can find ways to respond to that, but we can't kind of operate always trying to avoid that, or else we are not going to be asserting our own wants and needs. And finally, discomfort leads to growth. So here's the thing, this is a challenge. This is a therapy challenge. This is a personal growth challenge. I'll always kind of tee it up for my clients when I'm asking them to do something that I know is going to create some discomfort, because those are the times that we grow. And so think of it this way too. Anytime you have something that you want to say and you're holding back from doing it, use that to sort of evaluate it. Why am I not saying it right now? And if one of the reasons is I'm nervous what the reaction's going to be, I'm nervous to put myself out there. It sounds counterintuitive, but it's almost like that's your signal to go for it, to do it. Do that thing that causes you discomfort, because you are going to grow from it no matter what. So, here are some tips. Practice these. If you found this helpful, check out my other videos on some other mental health and self-growth tips. And if you have any topics or things that you would like for me to speak to, reach out to me. I would be happy to, and I would like to hear that. So thank you, and keep practicing these.